When you access the expo area, this is where you'll immediately see the list of booths. And the first thing that you notice is that each booth has a logo, it has a banner, it also has some text. And this is just the introductory part to let persons know who you are and maybe a little teaser to get them to jump into your booth, or it could be your tagline, or it could be, you know, just something about what it is you're displaying in the booth today. Please note that you have full freedom as to what you display here. But typically, like I said, it's the logo, maybe a banner that really highlights your branding or a special product that you're highlighting that you want to use to draw people in, and the name of your company along with a message that, again, is attention grabbing, maybe allows persons to, you know, determine whether or not they're interested in seeing more about what you have to offer. Now, I'm going to jump into the booth so that you can see all the options of what a setup booth can offer and what it looks like. But please note that we provide you with a step-by-step form for you to submit and fill out all this information. So the form will guide you step by step. It will ask you to provide a link to your logo. It will ask you what you would like the name of your booth to be. It would ask you what you want the tagline or the introductory text for your booth to be. And then your banner, as you can see, is something that should complement all of that versus have that on it. All right, so I'm going to jump into the booth now so you can see what it looks like and what all the options are. And this is pretty much it. So when you get in, the very first thing is that in the middle of the screen, predominantly, you're going to see whatever it is that you selected your main media type or source was. For some people, this could be a video. For some people, it could be a Google slide, and I've chosen to put a Google slide here. This is just a test Google slide. This is not like configured for the event or for Cari-flo, because I wanted you to see the possibilities. I think Google slides are an option that are overlooked by persons sometimes because maybe they don't realize that you can do so many things with them. So again, this first item, this main item, it can be a video, it can be a Google slide as well. This particular Google slide that I've selected or chosen to use is an interactive Google slide. Let's say you have a raffle and you want to do a giveaway. You could have your team design a Google slide that allows them to play a mini game and do a raffle. You can have a Google slide that has images and text that speak about maybe the product that you want to promote. You can have activities, and remember, Google Slides can have links as well. So you can embed links that take them to different places outside of the event. And maybe it could be a lead capture form, maybe it could be a tracking link so that you can see who accesses the link and what their actions are. Just depends on what assets your marketing team has available to you. Again, Google Slides can be a good way to feature those. I've just particularly used an activity slide here just to show you that it doesn't always have to be just, you know, images of your existing marketing or promotional materials. You can get creative, you can embed games, do things that, you know, create some interactivity in there that allow people to be able to click and engage and play videos as well. That's another thing you can do in your Google slide. Again, you could also have a video here, and that video essentially, the person owns the experience. So they would see the preview of the video, and I'll show you an example of that shortly. And then they would click play and the video would play and they will hear and see. So the person who is viewing, they own their own experience, because of course we want to ensure that they're able to benefit from everything. And so if somebody else in another part of Jamaica is watching your video, it doesn't matter. When they enter the booth, they see the video, preview, and then they click play and it goes with their timing and how they want it. Additionally, aside from this main screen where you can have these interactive Google Slides with any type of content that you want, you can also add additional content, and essentially they will see a scroll bar here on the right, which makes it very intuitive to them to know that there's additional content that they can see. And what I've done is put an example here of a video. So again, as you can see, they see the video preview, they can click play, and then they'll be able to watch the video real time in the booth. Now, there is also the opportunity for you to add various types of text, so large text, regular size text, colored text. You can add links, like I said before, that go to other pages. So if you have some of those lead capture forms already and you don't want to, just have another set of leads coming into another place, feel free to reuse those existing lead capture mechanisms. Just provide the links and advise us where and how to place them so that you can maximize use of this. But this space can contain text, links, images, videos, and you can have multiple. Now, I do want to caution you. Sometimes persons like to just embed every single thing that they have. And if they have 5 different SKUs of products, they want to put something for each SKU of product, and then it becomes a lot. Now, I recommend that you keep it focused. Maybe 1 or 2 of your promotional or feature items that you want the persons to really remember when they leave and maybe do an action on, then focus on those. And I would say if you have, maybe 1 or 2 videos or images or so, but things should funnel towards an action so that, they didn't just come and see your booth at the conference, but there's some engagement. There is something that benefits both of you after the event itself. And so now I'm going to jump into another way that you can get persons into those lead capture forms, or maybe get them to go to your website or to participate in some offer that you have going on right now. And I want you to turn your attention over to the right-hand side. Now, if you notice in the right-hand side, you have several options here, and the first option is just generally event, and the second option is booth. Anywhere in the event that you go, you will have an option for the main event and an option for the booth. Now, when you click on the main event, you'll really just be able to see and search people. So let's say maybe in one of the interactions that you did in the booth, you came across somebody who you thought really connected with you, and you need to follow up with them, and you want to know, you want to have a one-on-one conversation with them. At any point in time, you can go ahead and do several things. One, you can search for them in the People tab by name. Go ahead and click on that individual. You can either immediately invite them to a video call and it will send them a message. You can schedule a meeting for maybe at the end of the agenda or during the break, so that you're not, taking them away from the event itself. Or you can just send them a message and say, hey, Anthony, I know you had a lot of questions. Here is my direct number. How about we chat outside of the event to answer some of your questions? So, that's one way that you can use the interaction options that the event has. But even within the booth, let's say the person is still in your booth. You can still use that People tab from within the booth, because it will show you who is live in your booth right now. You could do the same thing, click on their name. The same options would be there. You could send them a private message, invite them to a private video call, etc. All right. So that's one way to use direct communication while you're in your booth or just generally in the event. Now, you also have the general chat area in the booth. And so these are chats specific to your booth. It won't conflict with any conversation happening in another brand or company's booth. And persons will be able to send their messages here. You will be able to tag the person who is in the booth. So if, for example, I want to tag somebody and their name in here is Cari-flo, and I want to say hey, etc. What will happen is once the person is in the booth, now I can't tag myself, that's why it's not popping up, but once the person is in the booth, you will be able to see their full name and image if they have one pop up, and you can click on them. And so when you send that message, it actually adds them, and it's very visible to everyone that you're speaking to a particular person, and then you can send that message to them. Of course, you can send general messages in the chat. You can use prompts like, hey guys, tell me how did you feel about session 1 today? General prompts and things you can use to create or encourage engagement via the chat area. Of course, you can respond to questions in the chat area, but I'll show you shortly another way you can interact that may be a little better for engagement. And of course, you can use the polling feature. So if you have polls that you want and you want to be able to see the results immediately and get feedback on certain questions, then we can add these polls for you. All you have to do is, again, when you're filling out the form that I mentioned before, just indicate to us that you have these poll questions that you want set up and exactly what you want the polls to say. Now the Q&A tab, I think, is pretty self-explanatory. I'm going to delve into how you can use this in a live interaction context shortly, but persons can post their questions here, and then you can either respond to the question via text, so for example, somebody comes and they ask question A, and you can respond and send a reply and leave your response there so everyone can see what your response was. Persons may thumbs up or a question to indicate that there's more than one person interested in that answer, and you can take note of that. That may be useful information to you. You can mark it as answered when it's done, or you can leave it. That's not super important. But the key thing in here is that know that persons can leave questions for you in your booth, and you can answer those questions so that everyone can see the answer. Another use case for the Q&A area that I think is really good is if you have frequently asked questions. So questions that people ask you all the time. All you have to do is come in here, click the ask a question. You can ask anonymously. So maybe, if you want to pretend that this is a guest asking versus a representative from the company, and you can post your question there, and then you can immediately post an answer. So that would be to cover frequently asked questions. If you know that every time you go to events, you get the same questions over and over and over again, you can just pre-populate the Q&A area with that, and that can also help you with some of the questions and engagement that you may normally have. The Twitter tab pulls in from your live Twitter feed. So maybe you have some giveaways, and maybe you have some hashtags, and maybe you want people to follow you and to retweet things based on the event or those hashtags, or different types of things you want them to do. And if you want to have a live feed of that Twitter come in, then all you need to do is let us know. Again, all of that is asked in the form. And once you provide it, we'll have the Twitter feed come right in here. So during the breaks and when you're doing your live sessions that we're going to show you how to do shortly, you can rile people up, get them excited, get them engaged, tell them to follow you on Twitter, ask them to retweet something, use a particular hashtag, and then your team can retweet it so everybody in the event can see that their tweet was retweeted by your company and your participation was acknowledged. And there are fun things that you can do with this to really get people engaged and also to successfully get them following you on your various platforms. So that's one way to use Twitter. And the next thing now is Kahoot, which most people know Kahoot. Kahoot has an integration with Hopin. And so if you decide to set up a Kahoot, all you have to do is, announce the game pin to persons. So persons, you could, when you're doing your live interaction, say, okay, if you want to participate in the quick quiz or game pin is XYZ, or you could post it in the chat and have persons participate. And maybe at the end of the day, you'll see the top 3 persons, and maybe those persons get giveaways or prizes. There are a lot of ways to use these features, and there are also a lot of other integrations like Slido and many other things. So I just wanted to give you a preview of what it can be like, but we don't want you to feel overwhelmed. What I would want you to do is maybe take some of these ideas, bring it back to your marketing teams, and maybe choose 1 or 2 of them that you want to focus on for the event, so as to maximize engagement and maximize your return on, the investment or support in this particular event.